Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is mindset, and the title is I'm Too Busy. So we've all said this 1,000 times to ourselves and to others when they ask why we didn't get things done. And this is an excuse that I hear all the time. So I wanted to kind of make a podcast about it because it came up recently and kind of discuss that being too busy is, everybody's busy. So this is something where I struggle with talking about this concept. And here's a little kind of open honesty. I actually already recorded like 10 minutes of a podcast towards this topic and had to stop and delete it because I was struggling with what to say. And the reason why I struggle with this is I don't understand it as an excuse. So I have a hard time connecting with this. Now, have I said like I'm too busy in the past? Yeah, I've said it from here and there. And we all make mistakes and we all kind of struggle with feeling overwhelmed. But the reason why I kind of struggle with the connection of this is when people say the excuse I'm too busy, they stop. Like they just end there as if that's the ending of it. Saying I'm too busy, just like to me, that means okay, you've identified what is the problem. The problem is you're too busy, meaning we need to organize what it is that we try to do throughout the day. We need to become better time management, energy management. There's things that we now can do because we've identified what our weakness is, and that's where my mind goes. So if somebody says, "Oh, I can't get any stronger on my squat," I'll watch them, see maybe a technical flaw they need to address, maybe a physical strength thing we need to work on. There's usually something that you identify as the thing that holds you back. And then you put things into place, actions or plans of actions at least, that will address that and allow you to overcome it. So when someone says they're too busy for something, that's the recognition of what is holding you back. But then very often people don't follow with action. And that's the part that I can't understand. So just because you're busy doesn't excuse you from the negative repercussions of whatever it is you're not doing. So if you have the goal of, say, lowering your cholesterol, or lowering triglycerides, and you say, "Oh, I'm too busy to eat healthy." Okay, but you're still going to die from like the poor blood work. If you have a health issue and you say you're too busy to take care of it, you're still going to die. Like just because you've identified you're busy doesn't mean that the health issue will go, "Oh, okay, well, I see you can't really deal with me right now, so I'm just going to let you go on this one." No, of course that doesn't happen. We all would laugh at the idea of that, but that's how stupid we are when we use "I'm too busy" as an excuse and then we stop. If there's no plan of actions after the words "I'm too busy," that's the part that I can't understand. That's the part of why I already made 10 minutes worth of a podcast and had to delete it, because it's just, I can't fathom it. And I feel bad for people that say those words and then never put action after those words. So, for example, I was talking with somebody recently, and they had bad blood work. And they were saying they're just too busy to eat well, like, throughout the day. Which is absolute, bullshit. There are ways they can do it. They just didn't give a shit yet. They're going to wait until the blood work gets worse, or wait until something else comes up that'll force it to become a priority. They just didn't care. And I wish people would just say that. Because when you say "I'm too busy," and then you don't follow up with action, that's the exact same thing as "I don't give a shit enough yet to do anything about this." Just say that, because that's the truth. And at least you're going to own the truth rather than telling yourself some kind of bullshit lie that'll just make yourself feel better about not giving a shit yet, about being lazy. Okay, if you're going to be lazy, just own it. If you have things that you feel are higher priorities than nutrition, guess what? Nutrition doesn't have to be difficult. So maybe there's lack of awareness and how easy healthy eating can be. And I could understand that being a thing, but at least with that, somebody would pursue it. They would say, "Well, I'm too busy to eat healthy. I wonder how everyone else does it." But no, we all tend to think we're some special snowflake how we're the most busiest person on the planet when that's not even remotely true. Not even close. You are not that special. Okay? So I've talked to people and they've said, like a retired person saying they're too busy, that's ridiculous. You're retired. You make your own damn decisions every day about what you do. Okay? Mother of kids saying they're too busy to exercise. Bullshit. You just choose not to do it. I guarantee you spend at least 30 minutes in your day somewhere watching TV or looking at social media when you could be up and active and doing something. So it doesn't matter. Like a dad who works crazy hours, try to provide financially for his family. Okay, even if you work 2 jobs. So there are ways to get things done. I've worked with thousands of clients. I can tell you the names. I have them listed on my paper right here of a retired person who ate well and did a competition. Okay, and they understood that they were retired, therefore they were making their own choices. It was the easiest freaking time in their life to ever do it. I have names right here written of people who've had multiple kids, even single parents, who still were able to make time for eating healthy and exercise. People who work crazy long hours, okay, 60 plus hours a week, and they still make time to eat healthy and exercise. If you don't know how to do it, that's one thing. But if you recognize something is necessary, like I need to exercise to be healthy, I need to eat healthy to be healthy, okay? You recognize that, but you don't pursue a plan of action to address that, that's just laziness. People aren't going to enjoy me calling them lazy in this podcast, but that's what it is. It's like a degree of laziness. You're not a lazy person. You're busy. You do a lot of crazy things. You meet a lot of goals, check off a lot of things on your to-do list. You're not a lazy person. You're just lazy towards this goal, okay? Or lazy towards this issue. Or maybe you're not lazy, you just don't care about it enough to make it a priority over other things. Like whatever it is there's a truthfulness to the fact that it's a choice. So you are choosing not to address it. And if you say it that way, that's fine. But if you say, I'm too busy to address it, then you're lying to yourself. Okay? So, I wanted to go through some things that if you have been using I'm too busy as an excuse, and you would like to change that, I want to talk about how we can make that change. If you used I'm too busy as an excuse, and you don't want to yet put in the effort to change it, I can't help you. I can't change you. Can't convince you. You have to give a shit yourself before then you would put anything I'm about to say into use, okay, into practice. So if you don't care to address it or change it, that's your choice. If you do care, I want to present the information of how I've found in my life how to address the concept of being too busy, and how I've seen clients address it in their lives of how to address the concept of being too busy. No one is too busy to achieve a goal in their life. It's just where they make that goal on their priority list. Okay, you're going to get something done every day. It's what that something is that's a choice on your part. Okay? If you want to put something in as that thing that you get done, you have to make it a choice to do so. So you are not the most busy person in the world. Every single person I talk to is busy. I mean, it's literal. It's so frustrating when somebody says they're busy and they give me their example, and I can name thousands of people who've had worse schedules, work situations, and have crushed their goals. So the fact that someone thinks they're too busy and they don't crush their goal, it's a mental weakness. It's maybe being unaware of what you can do to address it. And I want to show that to everybody, okay? So, now, some of the things we can think of is, like, for example, when I first started the gym, I was training 50 hours of in-person clients a week. So I was 50 hours face-to-face talking with somebody accounted for every single week. Then I wrote all of their workouts, all of my clients' workouts when we didn't meet, and I wrote all of their nutrition plans. So that was an enormous amount of extra work on top of 50 hours. Then I had the other duties of being the accountant, the janitor, the maintenance worker, social media. I had to do all of it. Okay. So I had to make the choice of what got done and what didn't. So I didn't have a social life. I didn't cut the grass in my house. Okay. I made a very minimal existence outside of work. I had one plate, one fork, one spoon, one cup. And I remember like when people would come over, like my parents would come and visit, and they would just be like laughing and or frustrated that I never had anything else. And it's because I didn't want it. If I only had one plate, one fork, one spoon, one cup, then every time I dirtied them, I'd have to wash them. So it gave me forced discipline to keep my house in order. Okay? But with working as many hours as I did to make the gym run, I had to make the choice then that nothing else pretty much was going to get done. My main priority, my main focus at that time in my life was to grow the business. So I had taken out loans, I signed my name to a lot of things, and I started what was the hope of a dream for me. Okay? The dream of owning my own business, loving what I do every day, and getting to make a difference in the world. That was the goal. How can I help people doing what I love? So everything else had to fit in around that. That was my biggest priority. So I remember, and I've talked about this before, and I'm going to get to other people's examples here, so I'm not trying to praise myself. But I remember I would be so exhausted by the end of the week. I'd wake up on Saturday morning, I'd train some clients, I'd go home, and I would usually fall asleep around 2 or 3 in the afternoon and sleep until Sunday at 3 or 4, maybe even 5. So I'd sleep for 24 hours. I'd wake up, eat something, food, usually fall asleep while I was eating it, fall back asleep around 7 or 8, and wake up the next morning at 5:30. So in the span of a 48-hour period, if you look at like all day Saturday and all day Sunday, I slept overwhelmingly over half of that. Because I was so exhausted by that time that I would sleep for 24 hours straight, get up for 2 or 3 hours, and then fall right back asleep for another 10 hours. That's how worn out I was. Now, during that time, I was still training 3 or 4 days a week. I was still trying to eat healthy. Okay? Things weren't maybe the best that they had ever been in terms of healthy nutrition and exercise, but they were still there. And I was still focusing on my goal of getting the business to grow. So what I had to do at that time was I had to make a choice of what was my highest priority, and everything else had to just fit around that. So recently, like I said, I was talking this to a retired person, and they need to eat healthier in order to take better control over their blood work. And they told me that they had such and such for breakfast, and then they just got too busy during the day to eat. And it's absolute bullshit. So I gave them an example of a guy I had who used to work loading trucks. Okay, so he'd load trucks, unload trucks, load trucks, unload trucks. And he was over 50 some years old. It was a very labor intensive job, but he wanted to do a bodybuilding show. He had always wanted to do one since he was in his 20s. He recognized he wasn't getting any younger. He didn't really have like the life financial situation that he hoped he was going to have in his 50s. He still had to work, 40 some hours a week. He still had to do manual labor. He still had a life of challenge. But he didn't want to miss his opportunity to eventually do a show in his life. He didn't want to wait till someday became yesterday. So he used to put protein bars in his pockets and leave them unwrapped. Okay, and it would be protein bar or some kind of snack thing, like even a pack of nuts or whatever. And he would carry a box out of the truck, set it on the pallet. As he walked back in the truck, he'd pick the bar up out of his pocket, take a bite, put the bar back in his pocket. So it may have taken him like, say, 30 minutes to an hour to eat a bar. A bite here, a bite there, a bite here, a bite there. But he never used any excuses. He was never too busy to eat. I'd check on him every time about his nutrition, and he did fine. He met the goals. He found ways to make it work. So rather than finding the excuse, he found the way to make it work. So I've had people who are single parents, who have, multiple kids, who said they were too busy to exercise. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. So, like I said earlier, I think was you're going to spend time in your day doing something unproductive. You're going to spend some amount of time watching TV. You're going to spend some amount of time, surfing the internet. You're going to spend some amount of time doing some stupid crap that isn't very self-productive. You're going to feel like it's mental therapy. But we've talked before in a past podcast about the fast food of self-care, meaning self-care choices, self-care therapies that are not long-term productive. They're just temporarily productive. Okay, and that was in podcast 420, titled "The Fast Food of Self-Care." Meaning, if you want to have me time, and you're like, I'm just so burned out mentally, like I just need time to myself. I'm just going to go look on the internet for 30 minutes. Versus, you know what, I'm just going to follow like a training program video that I have, or read off this paper, or do a simple workout with dumbbells, maybe some body weight stuff. I'm just going to take 20, 30 minutes to sweat and get out some physical energy and frustration. That exercise, okay, is the meat and potatoes, the healthy food of self-care. Surfing on the social media for 30 minutes is the fast food of self-care. It makes you feel kind of good in the moment. Maybe that positivity lasts an hour or two. Maybe you saw a meme that made you laugh. But you're still going to be burned out later in the day and or the next day. You're never really going to move forward. You're only going to be spinning your wheels. How do you progressively improve your self-care? Okay, mental health, emotional health, relationship health, physical health. How do you progressively improve those things? Is through healthy forms of self-care, not lazy, detaching, meaningless forms of self-care. So everyone, even if you work crazy hours, even if you work 2 jobs, everyone has time to exercise. Okay, now I'm not saying every day. I don't even exercise every day. Okay, in terms of like a big workout in the gym or things like that. But it can be done where you get, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups in. So I've done periods of time where I worked out every day for over a year. And I had one period of time, which was probably a couple of years, where I just had to do something physical above my normal daily life, and I counted that as exercise. And I was able to do that every single day for well over a year. Okay? And I've had friends and clients that have done the same. So even that can be created as a priority or as a goal. But even somebody just trying to do 30-minute workout 3 times a week, that can be done. Whatever bullshit excuse you're using to explain away why you can't do that is absolutely bullshit. You are lying to yourself. You are trying to make it okay that you're lazy towards that goal. You're not a lazy person. Don't get me wrong. Okay? You're just lazy towards that goal. You're undisciplined towards that goal. Whatever word you want to use, okay? That goal is not being met by choice. We need to recognize that it's a choice. We need to take charge of our choices and make them what we know will make us better in the long run, not what just appeases maybe a momentary stress or a momentary worry. Okay? So if you've used the excuse, I'm too busy to get something done, let's look at this. Okay? So you're either not making it a priority, and you need to clearly define what your priorities are. So if you've never made a priority list, absolutely 1,000,000% you should definitely do that. Sit down with a piece of paper and say, what are the things that I have to do every day? What are the things that I would like to do every day? Let me rank them in order of most important to least important, and then make my decisions based on that. So I do this with my relational health. So when I have 2 or 3 people who need my time, the person of the highest priority in relationship gets my time. That's it. I never want to let down the people I love the most and the people who love me the most. So I want to make sure that if I have the choice between, say, a loved one in regards to like a spouse, like girlfriend, spouse, boyfriend, whatever yours would be, okay? But yet you have a stranger who's asking you a favor. Maybe it's a neighbor that needs something. But yet you have your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever, sitting there needing something from you too. It's so tempting to go help the neighbor because, quote unquote, my spouse will understand. But yet you still leave the spouse's needs unattended. That's not the way it should be. People of the highest priority to you should get your highest efforts. Okay? Your highest levels of attention, your highest levels of love. So I do that with my relationships, like I said, is I have a priority list of who means the most to me. Now that is not politically correct because everybody's going to want to be on number one. Okay, I understand that, but not everybody gets to be number one. I have people who have invested into me. So for example, my parents. I am very, very blessed, indescribably blessed to have parents who love me and have been with me, from day one. They've always supported me. They've always put me ahead of themselves even. I'm very blessed to have that, and in no way in hell will I ever disrespect that. Okay? As I've gotten older, I've recognized how important that is. And I'm sure there were times where I was disrespectful. There were times when I messed up, but those times will be no more. So I have control over who I let down every day. That was something that was told to me by a very good friend. And they said, you know what? Every day you're going to disappoint someone. In the type of work that we do, and the friend did something similar, they said, in the type of work that we do, you will let someone down every day. More people are going to need your attention per day than you have attention to give. So you will let someone down every single day. But the power is that you get to choose who. I get to choose whether it's my parents I let down, whether it's, a relationship partner that I let down. I get to choose who that is. I get to choose whether it's a best friend, a stranger, a neighbor. There is power in that choice. So for me to make sure I had the healthiest relational health, I made a priority list, and I use that to help with my decisions. When I'm stuck in a bind, there's multiple people wanting my attention, I look at the list and say, hey, this person's higher than that person. I'm going to go with the person higher on the list. Now, does that mean that second person, isn't disappointed? No, they are disappointed. Do I feel bad about that? Yes, I actually do. But I would feel worse letting down the person of a higher priority. So you need to do that with the things that you want to achieve in your life. So if you say I'm too busy to do X, well, where does X rank on your priority list? Okay, you need to know what your priorities are. You need to physically make a list. And you need to recognize that you will feel bad, even from a good decision. Okay? And we've talked about this in the past, that there is guilt in good decisions. So let me see if I can look up that podcast number real quick. So it was podcast 359, Dealing with the Guilt of Good Decisions. So just because you chose the right thing doesn't mean you won't feel bad for it. That's a sucky part of life, okay? We do feel bad even from good choices. But we recognize the power is we'd feel worse from a bad choice. Okay? So you need to make a priority list and then use it to help with your decisions. You also need to live by your own priority list, not someone else's. Not your mother's, not your father's, not your spouse's, not whoever the hell else is around you. Okay? You have to live the life that you want. You have to decide on your priority list. And then you get to make the choice to live with that. Will someone be let down if your priority list is different than what they want yours to be? Yes. But it's better to let others down than it is to let yourself down. So I was on the way to the gym this morning, and I listened to a thing on the radio where some girl was talking about this podcast is coming up close to Thanksgiving, and they were talking about this a concept called a turkey drop, where at a family event you would tell kind of like a big news. So maybe a couple is having a baby, they're pregnant, so they would drop that information on the family on Thanksgiving, so they call it a turkey drop. And this young girl, I don't actually know how old she was, but she sounded young. She was talking about how she had a lot of tattoos that were new this year. She had a new haircut that was like kind of like buzzed hair or shaved head part. And it was just, and she was talking about her relationship choice. So the category of people that she chooses to date. And she was saying how she, was doing such certain things to hide her tattoos. And she kind of let her hair grow in closer to Thanksgiving so that way it wouldn't look, as extreme as what it normally did. And she was talking about how she wasn't going to tell her family about the style of relationships that she would like to have. And I thought how incredibly sad it was that this person had to cover up their life. Okay, the choices that made them happy, the things that they loved in their life, the things that made them who they were. They had to try to hide those from their family. That sucks. Don't live that way. Okay? If someone doesn't like you because you have tattoos, that's their fault. Screw that person. Okay? If someone doesn't like you because you have part of your head shaved, screw that person. Someone doesn't like you because you want to date somebody that they don't approve of, or types of people that they don't approve of, screw that person. You got to live a life that you're happy with. Now, say, if you're a parent and you see a child making what you know is probably a dumbass decision, okay? You can discuss with them your concerns and your worries, but you still have to let them live their life and make their own choices. As a parent, you don't get to tell someone else how to live their life. Now, I understand I'm not a parent right now, but you don't get to be in charge of someone else's life, no matter what role in which you play in that life. You can be a friend, you can be a parent, you can be a child of the person. You can voice your concerns and your worries, but it's their life. They get to do what they want with it. Sometimes that means you have to watch a train wreck, but they're the conductor of the train, not you. So you can voice your opinion, you can voice your concerns, you can try to, help somebody if you see them going down the wrong path. And that's not necessarily what I'm talking about here, okay? But that is your power. But we don't have the right to tell other people to do what they can do with their lives. Just like if there's something you want to do with your life, okay? It's a goal of yours. It's a choice of yours. It's something that you want to make high on your priority list. But you don't think someone in your life will view it the same. It doesn't matter. It's your life. Live it your way. So you have to make a priority list for the things that you want to achieve in life. Use that list to help with decisions. You also have to make your own priority list. Okay, do what you believe to be best for you. You can take others' opinions and thoughts, but you have to live a life that's true to you. And we have to accept the season we're in. So sometimes when you make a priority list, if you have a big goal at the moment, maybe it's getting ready for a competition, okay? Maybe it's you want to, focus on something other than, what your normal is. So if people know you as eating healthy and always doing competitions, and you just want to take some time to go have fun and be yourself, okay, whatever it is, whatever, doesn't matter, okay? Just whatever you want to do, we also have to accept sometimes that there are seasons in life. There are times when you're going to have to choose what you want to focus on over other things and understand that you can't do all things at once. Sorry about that. In podcast 251, titled Drop the Right Ball, we talk about the idea that in life you're going to juggle a lot of balls. You're going to juggle a lot of things. Some of the things we can actually let drop. So it's like if I was juggling, 4 glass balls and a rubber ball. Okay, so I had 5 balls and 1 was rubber. If I'm struggling to juggle all 5, I can let the rubber one drop and it'll bounce right back. But I can't let the glass ones drop because they'll break. So in podcast 251, we talk about how to identify what are the things that we can let drop off in the moment to let us hit a big priority goal and then be able to pick those things right back up when we come back to them. So, if you believe yourself to be too busy to achieve what you want to achieve, recognize that all that is an awareness that you need more organization. You need organization of mindset. Okay? You need to organize your expectations, your thought process. You need to organize your priorities. You need to organize your mindset towards your life. Then you need to organize your energy, okay? The efficiency of the efforts that you do throughout the day. You need to also organize your timeline for the day and understand that maybe there are things you need to exclude, maybe there are things you need to highlight.